What is up, everybody, and welcome back to, the final, I guess, post-game show of the 2018 season, which has been a roller coaster, I guess, in the first half and then down in the second half. But if you're watching the show for the first time, go ahead and like and follow us on whatever platform you're watching on, whether it be Periscope. Follow us up there at Panthers Source. This is actually going live to my personal account at TrippMorgan6 on Periscope and Twitter. So follow that if you want to tune in that way. On YouTube, it's at Panther Source, and on Facebook, it's also Panther Source. So like and follow there, and then all your favorite podcast platforms, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, all that jazz. But Billy, this end of the season is 7-game streak is over. Lost 7 in a row. Didn't make it to 8. Thank goodness, because we would have been the first team in NFL history, I think they were saying today. But yeah, I mean, this was a pretty dominating performance, I guess, score-wise. Obviously, Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara didn't play.
Yep.
First half, there were a lot of starters in for the Saints defense, which was promising because Kyle Allen looked really good. That's going to be a tongue twister for me to say this whole show, by the way. I might just say Allen. I'm just going to try to say Allen because Kyle Allen is just like, it seems like it should be kind of one word. But a good game for him up until the shoulder injury.
Yeah, and 2 weeks in a row, it's showing how much Cam means when our offensive line is garbage.
Yes.
And he can take those hits because we lose Heineke last week with the injury to his non-throwing arm, and then one bad hit, and Allen's out of the game.
It's just like 2 hits, other quarterbacks are gone.
Yep.
And like you said, and other people have kind of mentioned that, like, Pro Football Focus and all these, like, in-depth analyst research sites rate them and say Carolina has one of the best offensive lines, and then Cam Newton's gone, and it's like, oh, quarterback injury. And it's like, well, how much is he masking? And North Turner said it before the season. He said, I think Cam Newton masked a lot of deficiencies in the offense, and you've seen that since he's gone out. Even when he was hurt in games we all pretty much agree he should have been playing, and now he was still, making up for those running the football even when his shoulder couldn't throw the ball deep. So, I mean, I think it's kind of showing you can't take Cam Newton for granted in this offense and what he means to it. But, yes, Allen looked, really poised. Like, that's the word I kept using with you is poised and calm in the pocket today. Even he missed a couple of throws, but, look, we weren't expecting him to come out and be perfect, obviously.
He made a lot of great throws.
Yes, he made some very, very good throws. That deep ball to Samuel late it was ruled a touchdown.
Yep.
They ended up keeping it a touchdown. But that was pretty impressive. I mean, he looked good.
And that's the thing that we saw then at the beginning of the game. I was like, the what ifs. I was playing the what if game. What if we put Allen in or Heineke in 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago? Because when we opened up the top with a ball that went past the sticks, we got pass interference calls. We got defensive holding. We were able to keep the drives alive with penalties that we weren't getting long penalties before. That kept a lot of drives open today, and we end up having 3 for 3 in the red zone. We scored in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
We got a turnover. Like
it was weird.
It's just a what if we would have finally somebody sat Cam down and had hopefully no injuries happen 5 weeks ago to our quarterbacks.
Right.
But you give us a chance of getting over the top because we saw what the speed of our receivers could do today.
Yep.
And draw on those penalties.
Exactly, and like you said, with the deep ball.
Yep.
I mean, I think that's been a big key. And Allen's final stats: 16 of 27, 228 yards. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, didn't turn the ball over, a QB rating of 111.3. Again, good game for him as a backup. Coming in, undrafted, rookie. And, we kind of talked about this on the Saints Monday night game. Or not the Monday night game, last week. Sorry. I was thinking about the game we were at for some reason. But last week we talked about it when Heineke went out originally. And Allen stepped in. He had that elbow injury and was out for several plays. Allen stepped in at the end of the first half and did well. What was he, 4-4, right?
4-4.
And we're sitting here wondering, like, well, maybe they should have just kept him in. Yes, Heineke, and I kind of defend the fact Heineke earned his job. And if he feels like he can go out there and still help this team in a game that's not real meaningful, it's kind of hard to, like, I'm not going to completely bash anybody for wanting to keep him in and give him his shot to keep proving himself. But at some point when he's falling, you're falling to the ground, and he's angling after every pass. Now, it wasn't his throwing shoulder, and I think that was a big part of it.
Yep.
It was his non-throwing shoulder, elbow. But you're sitting here wondering, well, what could have happened if you left Allen in? Well, I think it would have been, obviously, after watching today, you can say it would have been better. And I know some people are sitting here saying, yeah, but the Saints rested their starters today, this and that. Like, yes and no, because the first half, the Saints defensive starters were in there the entire first half.
Yeah,
and that's
Cameron
when
Jordan
the most
was in there into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and that's when the most points were scored by the Panthers offense. And you're talking about Marshawn Lattimore was in there. DJ Moore had a hell of a grab over him. Crawley was in there. Like you said, Cam Jordan, A.J. Klein, all these guys.
Eli Apple
Kurt
stayed
Coleman
in the whole game.
Yeah, they were in there. And, yeah, I think that was – Apple needed to be in the game, though, for them.
I think they needed to see how bad he is.
Yeah.
He had some proving to do because he's been bad all year, but today he torched him.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was – I'm not going to sit here and – I don't think people can sit here and say, yeah, and, like, yes, Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara weren't in this game, and I think that was huge. But to sit here and say that, yeah, well, this offense scored against scrubs on defense is completely false. Allen did a hell of a job with what he was dealt because Cam Jordan was in his face multiple times, and that's what kept bringing me back to you, like talking to you during the game. Like, he's remained so poised.
Yep.
Like, Heineke was in there and was really dancing and skittish. He looked very skittish and antsy in the pocket, whereas Allen would drop back, take a couple of looks, and fire the ball away. Under pressure and everything, took the hits. Now, granted, you know, late in the game, again, he took that hard shot, went down, and you saw him try to throw the ball on a sideline and, like, just attempt a small little pass and just fell in pain. Kind of knew at that point he wasn't coming back. And then we saw Christian McCaffrey warming up, and for the love of God, do not put him in there, an emergency QB. That didn't happen to be the case, thank goodness, because Garrett Gilbert came in and finished the game. He actually finished 2 of 3 for 40 yards, or whatever that's worth. I mean, they were pretty much running the ball at the end of the game, but yeah, I'm still impressed with Allen. I think he's definitely shown that he can, in my mind right now, and you know, I think it's fair to say you can balance the two between last week's game with Heineke and this one. Allen should have the number 2 spot right now, in my opinion.
And if we had to make the roster today,
yeah,
Heineke would definitely be on the practice squad or at home again.
Right.
I think Allen definitely has cemented his way his first start, and I liked watching him.
Yeah, I mean he was fun to watch. I'm not saying he's going to go out there and be a starting QB by any means, but I'm saying he's definitely sufficient enough to win you some games and make the passes that you need in clutches. What he converted 2 4th downs today as well, 1 running and 1 passing.
Yep.
So I mean that's impressive for a rookie corner QB again, and those were in the first. I believe both of them were in the first half.
And this, I saw somebody tweet today that are the Panthers just not good at self-scouting? I mean, you have Allen, you have Allen came back. We have Heineke.
Well, there's been talk of that for like 2 years now.
But then the same thing with Ian Thomas. Like you want to keep Greg Olsen through the year because he's Greg Olsen, but look at Ian Thomas in the last 3 weeks.
Yep.
Like, why, if you have these players and you drafted these players, why don't you take a chance on them?
Yeah, but the thing with Ian Thomas is, and like we've kind of hit on this in the past, is early in the season when he was getting his opportunities with Greg out, his chemistry with Cam was off, the communication was off, and like he was taking he wasn't finishing routes when Cam was throwing the ball at times, and I think that's what ended up pushing him back. Now, granted, he has came back and made a great stride, and I absolutely think he needs to be incorporated moving forward.
Well, and then you can look at it now. We know that Cam wasn't practicing all the time,
right.
So his chemistry wasn't there with Cam. If he's running first string, he's running Heineke and Allen or whoever the backup was.
Yeah, but this was like
early season,
right.
season. But
yeah,
then they come into the game late season the last 2 weeks, and he obviously has done a lot better.
Yeah, and I mean it showed with Cam with the younger receivers going on further into the season how it seemed his communication had been off with several of them at times with the injury and stuff and rest days, and that all starts to factor in and pile on. So, but one guy, going to hit on the Saints for a minute here. Rondé Barber kind of went off a little bit today, Billy, talking about how Teddy Bridgewater has impressed him. He definitely thinks he should land with another team. I'm sorry, but what did he do today to impress anybody?
That was I thought that was laughable. And while he's talking him up, the next snap is an interception. Yeah. I thought it was very fitting.
Because like we were sitting here talking, like he had literally said it, and we were like, dude, he's put up 7 points, and he has been playing against, the main starter, like Luke Kuechly and a couple others came out after the first series with Christian McCaffrey. and he was playing against backups for, at some spots for the majority of the game, and especially the second half, and still only managed 7 points in the first half. Or did he even score a touchdown in the first half? No, he didn't.
No,
they scored in the fourth quarter. He didn't score until the fourth quarter. Yes, he didn't have a couple of good throws where he kept a play or two alive. But no, I don't think he overly impressed today like many thought he would. I don't think he should be dancing in the locker room today. They ended up scoring, a total of 14. Michael Thomas got his receptions record for the Saints, 1,400 yards or whatever. But on the day, Michael Thomas, again, with James Bradbury and company, held to 5 catches for 29 yards. He hasn't eclipsed 100 yards receiving in the 2 games total, in the 2 games combined against the Carolina Panthers, and he has been the ace in the hole for the Saints. I mean, I tell you all the time, this is the guy that I feel like if is taken away from Drew Brees and this team and this offense, it could really devastate them. Yes, they still have Alvin Kamara, but I feel like Michael Thomas is the guy for that team. 1,400 receiving yards, just over.
Yeah.
Broke the franchise receiving record for the Saints today. And they almost lost some people today. I mean, some key players.
Yeah, they ended up, the injury bug hit them at the beginning of the game pretty bad, and they already had some backups in on the offensive line.
And I mean, that's it. When you dress 46 players, you can't play but so many backups. Yeah. I mean, you're going to have to pick and choose, and I think they made the right decision in Breeze and Kamara, obviously. And I think Michael Thomas was partly because they were just trying to get that record.
Same thing with Peppers staying in the game the whole time, trying to get, and he ended up half a sack off.
Almost.
Yeah,
that was disappointing. I was really hoping he would get that second sack, and get the third all-time list, because I don't think he's going to be back, Billy. And while we're talking about that, let's talk about a few Panthers that may not be back next year. We know one for sure, Ryan Khalil, longtime center, great player, has been a stud on that offensive line, and is really a position I don't think it's getting talked about enough, because if we mess around and don't find a legitimate starter there moving forward, that could be a real issue on top of other issues already with this offensive line. We found Taylor Moton at right tackle. We still need a left tackle.
Yep.
Trey Turner is our right guard. He's still, Pro Bowler. That seems solidified. The left guard could still use some work. But interior pressure is the absolute worst pressure for quarterback and offensive line. Finding that center now, we know they like Tyler Larson there. He's backed him up there the last 2 years under injuries at times. But that could be a spot where, I mean, you're looking at drafting or picking up somebody potentially maybe in free agency. If you don't feel comfortable with Tyler Larson. And even if you do feel comfortable with Larson, you have to find somebody that's going to be there to back him up.
Yeah.
So, but moving on from him, Julius Peppers, I think we both feel like he's not coming back next year.
I don't feel that he is.
Yeah, and I don't think the Panthers, like, on a business side of things, I don't think Carolina needs, as much as I love them and I want them to retire a Panther and get the records for all-time sacks and all this, I think it's time and smart to move on and get younger at this position. I think everybody else has agreed to this point that we need to get younger at pass rush.
Yeah. And, I mean, we got F.A. Abada that has shown he's had some flashes, but it's his first time ever playing football.
Yep.
If we can groom him, he can be that young, fast, powerful defensive end.
Yep. And you mentioned F.A. Abada. Not really a veteran by any means, but Devin Funchess, wide receiver, a healthy and active scratch today. We kind of talked about him for really about half the season. You and I, anyway, have felt he wouldn't be back. And I've seen some other people talking about he's a wide receiver one, and they were talking about he wouldn't be back because of money issues. And my deal is not just the money. It's just I don't think he's earned what he's going to get paid. And the Panthers don't need to pay somebody like that when they've drafted. And I think the healthy and active scratch today just solidified that. And I saw a lot of people bashing the coaching staff saying, well, how are you not going to let him play for his free agency, this and that? You need to worry about our team. I don't give a damn about where he goes. Yeah. Like, wherever he goes, that's on him. But he's had his opportunities to prove this year, and he hasn't done it.
And I think you look at Kelvin Benjamin, who he replaced, and you can say he's just a little bit better. His, finishing plays, the interception that he gave up last week, where he didn't even try to become the defender.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that probably has a big deal with him sitting this week.
Right.
He doesn't look like he doesn't finish routes. He doesn't try. I don't know if the record and the losing streak made him give up, but he has just a little bit more try in him than I think Kelvin Benjamin did when he left here. And that's the sad part. And he drops the ball all the time. I think he's gone. I don't mind him being gone.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of hit on that 2 weeks ago about, going into this year, we felt really good about the receiving group. And I think we still had a pretty good receiving group. Then you have Cam's shoulder injury. Can't throw the ball deep. Excuse me. And now next year, you're talking about Devin Funchess being gone. Torrey Smith, I would still be pretty surprised to see Torrey Smith come back just because towards the end of the season, he was virtually non-existent. Yep. He got some playing time at the end of the day's game. And look, kudos to him, though, because he didn't cause a bit of a distraction in the locker room and he even said it. He told reporters, he said, I'm about whatever makes this team better, and he completely took a step back after he came back from his injury. He did end up having surgery. It was announced that he had a cleanup surgery on his knee after that Philadelphia game, but he took a step back and allowed his younger players to take over this offense where they were doing better, and it benefited the offense better.
Yes.
So kudos to him. Like, I have mad respect for Torrey Smith, but when it comes down to it, I don't think he'll be back next year either. So you're talking about Devin Funchess, him, and that leaves you with DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Jarius Wright. I'm missing somebody. No, that's it, because that would have been 5. Yeah. And you're talking about potentially Mose Frazier making his way onto the group. Maybe I don't think Demir Byrd. His injury history. I'm not sure he's going to make it back. He didn't do well returning this year on special teams. So again, add some more holes potentially there. Another guy that might not be back, we're hoping is back, and I still feel like he might come back for one more season, is Thomas Davis. Linebacker, I mean, this could really be a flip of a coin decision for him, and he said as much that he wants to play another year and he wants to remain a Carolina Panther, but he said he doesn't want to be in a position where he's not basically getting what he's worth coming back here. So
and that's gonna come from the office. That's gonna come from front office. It's not gonna be his decision.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's pretty much what he's saying.
Yeah, yep. And I would like to see him. I think he still has some. He still has a little bit left in the tank. And he said at the beginning of the year he can't end on a suspension.
Yeah,
because you got to remember he didn't play 4 games.
Yep.
He can't end on a suspension. So he played a short season this year. I think he has a little bit left, and he was one of our best defenders on the field.
Yeah, I mean he's been one of the more sure tacklers this year. Like I said, Luke Kuechly missed some early on this year, was missing here or there, but he's obviously the second half of the season he exploded. But he has been one of the more sure tacklers, and I still think he's got something left in him to come back with like Shaq Thompson and company.
You got to look at Mike Adams.
Mike Adams, I think, he had a pretty good year with us last year, and that I was kind of defending. Yeah, I think him coming back is fine if he can produce that. He struggled at times this year deep. I think you need to get younger. They played Golden a lot today. That might be a spot they have to move on, and you got to get younger at some spots. Hopefully Eric Reed comes back. They've already been in talks with him about trying to get him to come back a few more years, and he's still young. I think he's like 26. So that would be good, and then you get another young safety like Golden or somebody out there with him to pair, and then get younger on the defensive end. You're talking about losing Julius Peppers. Mario Addison isn't young either. He's going to be 31, 32 next year. But he was 1 sack away from double-digit sacks for the second consecutive year. I don't think he's as big of an issue, but you need guys in there to rotate. They like F.A. Abada. Maybe he's the guy that they're looking for, but I don't think you can just count on that. You still need to go into this draft and find somebody that's going to be elite at that position. Saints fans on YouTube joining us again. Thank you for tuning in. The only thing Teddy impressed me with was how much people respect him. That's it. Yes, sure, but respect didn't do you shit on the scoreboard today. I was actually, this is one of the reasons I was worried going into this game, because I knew Drew Brees and Kamara were sitting, but I figured Bridgewater could come in because he'd been hyped up a lot as his backup for the Saints, and I figured he could come in and do well. And at times, yes, he made a couple good plays, but he didn't move this offense a lot at all today.
And it showed how much Drew Brees means to the Saints. Big time.
Yep.
I mean, you took Kamara out, but you have Ingram. Ingram is, they're basically the same player. They had basically the same stats last year through this year. Same thing with Ingram even having a suspension.
Yep.
So Drew Brees means a lot. And Teddy has respect. I don't know.
And maybe
why he gets it.
Yeah.
Today, yes, when he was in Minnesota, he played well.
Yeah.
But then he has his chance, and they praised him on TV for some reason today. I don't know why.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And Austin Wright on Facebook Live saying rotate with Marquise Haynes, and that is another young guy, speed edge rusher that the Panthers have liked and tried to give him opportunities this year, and he has still flashed at times. He is very quick off the edge, but that's really his home run hit. Like, he's not a great overall defensive end, so he's more of like that third down guy for pass rush. That's going to be somebody else they really hope to try and develop. That'll be more of Eric Washington's job because, again, we don't know where the defensive coordinator spot's going to go. Steve Wilkes may have a job availability after this year because it doesn't sound like he's going back to the Cardinals. I don't know if they're going to look to bring him back, if that'll be an option or what. We'll have to see. Personally, I kind of like Rivera calling the plays now.
I mean, the defense was not great last year under him.
Right.
So,
but I still feel like that was just a small microcosm leading into this year's defense. And we just saw it. Like, that's kind of what I was saying all year is, okay, we've had two different defensive coordinators running almost kind of two different things at times and within 2 years, and we're still getting the same results. That tells me it's more players and age.
Yeah.
And I think that's what caught up with us. Hopefully getting young, which kind of worries me. It almost sounds like a rebuild year potentially, but I don't want to say that. We still got a lot of things to talk about with Cam throughout this offseason and the draft.
That's
the biggest issue.
And before the game, we were talking about Cam and going the way of Andrew Luck of sitting.
Yep.
And I brought it up. It's like, well, you let Cam sit. We see how Allen's playing today. You let him play for a year, but then we go 6-9. You gave Rivera his next year. Do you then have Rivera gone in another year, and now Cam's back and you rebuild? It's going to be there's a lot of moving parts that have to be dealt with in the offseason that this could be the beginning of a rebuild.
Yeah, and I hate saying that because there's like the talent this year at spots was there, especially offensively, and I think we are building towards a better offense, and it depends largely on play calling. You're assuming Norv is coming back. You're assuming Rivera is coming back at this point because all signs point to this staff coming back, but changes are going to need to be made, and I'm not sure, like, Norv has done well at times, but overall, are we sure he's the answer offensive coordinator? Because like we've talked about before, he's implemented some things for Cam, for this offense, the trickery plays here or there, but they've really been limited. Like we've talked about in the past, this hasn't been an explosion.
Yeah.
And part of that is I still feel like it's Cam's shoulder issue.
And that's the thing is, if Cam doesn't have an injury, our offense is scoring more, and we aren't looking at this 6-9.
Yeah.
We're looking at a double-digit win season. And that it would make up. If our offense can score, we make up for what our defense lacks in.
Yep.
And talk about Norv today when we started in the second half, he went read option, Allen kept it. 2 passes behind the line of scrimmage to start the second half.
And that drives me up the wall.
Why do we do that if it worked? If passing the ball deep, passing the ball, out of the backfield worked at the beginning of the game, and now you're going to go to this. I don't understand where they see those adjustments, or even the fake screen to the left and the screen behind the line of scrimmage to Thomas at one time. I don't understand why they get away from what was working.
And in a game where it's pointless.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, you want to see what Kyle Allen has. Don't throw balls behind the line of scrimmage when you're up. Like, just keep – I'm not saying throw the ball downfield. They did do that late with Curtis Samuel, and it worked. But I'm saying, like, let him take some intermediate shots still on these. It's 3rd and 10. Why the hell are you throwing a wide receiver screen?
Yep.
You just ran the ball on 2nd and 14. Like, give this guy a chance to prove himself as he's been doing throughout the game. And then not long after that, of course, he was injured. So, I mean, that's going to be – I don't know. I thought that was questionable myself, but alas, here we go again. 89 on YouTube Live saying – this team is stupid. We went from a top 10 pick to a mid-round pick. Why? When I just want us to lose this one game, we have to win a pointless game. And this is where we kind of said it. Guys, these players are not going to go out here and think about this team losing and getting a draft pick. These players are out here doing a job, and their lives depend on doing well at their jobs and their positions. They're not going out here to lose a game so we can get a draft pick. They're going out here to try to do their best at their positions, win this game as a team, help them all look better, and in lieu get a better contract in the future somewhere, whether it be with the Panthers or somewhere else. Not one team. I think you'd be hard pressed to find many teams saying that they want to lose a game. Like, unless for some reason it would get them into the playoffs, which just doesn't make sense anyway. But I was getting into this with a guy on Twitter, and he was talking about the Saints weren't trying to win this game. Like, the Panthers are doing this against backups, yada yada. And I'm sitting there saying again, guys, their defense played the starters in the first half. The Saints did. You're not going to sit here and tell me Cam Jordan and these guys want to go out there and get their ass kicked by this backup Panthers offensive quarterback. You're not going to convince me.
There is a lot of animosity between these teams.
Yes.
No one on that field wanted to lose today.
Yeah.
They both wanted to win.
Yep.
And the only time that I would say that a team throws is when you trade your best player away for pieces 3-4 years down the line in drafts. No team goes out there when they play the game to lose.
Yep.
Maybe some trades that happen so you can rebuild in 3 years in the draft. That's how a team does it. But you don't go out there in the last week of the season and say, I'm going to lose. And you don't want to send Khalil and Peppers and maybe Thomas. You don't want to send them off on an 8-game losing streak.
I mean, nobody wants to do that. And another thing to, like, defend the Saints wanting to win part, they had a chance to set a franchise record for most wins in a regular season today. Regardless of whether Drew Brees and Kamara are in or not, I can guarantee you the guys that were in there wanted to win that game to help them get more playing time in the future. The ones that were backed up on offense and everything else later in the game. So you can't convince me these guys, like, we sit here and say we should lose this game for a draft pick. It's not that simple. It's never as simple as you sit back here and play couch coach as it is. It's just not that simple. These players get paid based on their performance and evaluations. They can't just go out there and put out a shit game and be guaranteed a spot next year. So I just don't think it's going to happen.
On the flip side, they want us to be the first team to go 6-2 and then end up 6-10.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking about a team where the coach brought in a broom after they swept us last year for the third time, and they sent brooms and bottles of wine to Cam.
Yep.
These teams don't like each other.
Yep.
No one went out there to lose.
Mm-hmm. You saw that on the Monday night game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And speaking of which, I was thinking about sending like a 7mm Allen wrench to Cam Jordan. Wonder if he would get it. Kyle Allen wrench. Those are wrenching things. Okay.
But yeah, we stopped the sweep. We stopped the losing streak to end 2018.
And we beat the Saints in NOLA. I'll take that. And we, like, destroyed them. It wasn't, like, close. And Eric Reed, damn it, why did you let Taysom Hill get that damn – I despise Taysom Hill. 16, I'm sorry. I think he is just an overrated player who gets way too much hype. And that touchdown today was absolute BS because Eric Reed just decided to throw a shoulder at him instead of wrapping him up with, I believe it was, who was it, Elder?
No, Collins had him wrapped up. Colin Jones had him wrapped up, and when Eric Reed hit him, he knocked him out of his arms, freed him up, and he was able to get free and get in the end zone. If he would he never wraps up.
Yep. Corey Davis on Facebook Live. What about on the coaching staff? I believe Ron and Norv are safe. Washington back down as defensive line coach. Only way he would stay, Steve Wilkes would be fired from Arizona. Yeah, look, the Eric Washington thing's over. He has been knocked down to line and front seven coach. He is no longer DC. Like, that's done. That's a done deal. Where we go at that spot next year, I don't know. I think Steve Wilkes is, he has to be a possibility if he's going back down to a defensive coordinator spot. You would think he'd want to come back somewhere he's familiar with if he's looking to go back into head coaching ranks. So I would think he is absolutely a possibility. But again, a lot of this depends on how the player part of this shapes up next year based on how they play. Because I still think that's a big issue regardless of the coordinator. Obviously, Rivera did a good job when he took over with the defensive play calling. But I still think you get younger and better at some spots, especially defensive end. Let's see here. Brandon on YouTube Live. The Carolina Panthers season was a disappointment. We started the season 6-2, lose games. We finished in 2018 7-9 since 2012. Now in off-season mode for the 2019 season. Yep, I mean, it's been a tough year. 7 straight losses. I would have never thought at 6-2 this is how the season would have ended. Actually, at the 6-2 mark, we were sitting here on the show, and I'm pretty sure I said, at this point, I feel like they're going to finish above 500 for the first time in consecutive seasons. Well, damn.
Yeah.
Because that did not happen. Mike Pridgett on Facebook Live, is this it for Peppers? I feel like it is. He hasn't made an official announcement. I'm sure one will come one way or the other soon. it's just hard for me to see him wanting to come back to get 2 sacks to finish third all time, or 1 sack to finish third all time on the NFL sack list. He's already a future Hall of Famer.
And he didn't play many snaps this year. I wouldn't see him keeping the same snap count next year with a whole another year of age on him. I think he's done.
Yep.
Cyphera on YouTube Live, can we agree that this wasn't really the worst Panthers season in franchise history, but possibly the most embarrassing season overall?
Yeah, it's a kind of catch-22, but I mean, at time, yeah.
It is embarrassing. Well, it's not as much as it's not embarrassing to me because knowing went 6-2, but knowing that our quarterback was injured and played through this injury the whole time.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, your best player on the field.
Yeah,
can't
and you're
throw
not
the ball, and he wants to play because he's a player.
And you're not. Again, you're not getting your. And I've said this time and time and again, and it seems like it's always looked at as the other way around for most fans. But this team wasn't getting their ass whooped in these losses. They were 1-score losses, except for the Pittsburgh game. Yes, that game was ugly. But if you give me 1 ugly loss a year, I'll take it. Like, that's fine. And Rivera was right after that game. He said this shit happens, especially on a short week, going on the road. It happened. But these other games were close. And arguably the players, I mean, deep plays on defense, deep shot touchdowns cost games and these close ones that we lost on this losing streak. And that you can't just like sit here and blame the coaches all for that. Like Ron Rivera had terrible management issues. Nobody's defending that. He's had terrible moments as a head coach, but these players have had terrible moments as players as well this year that have cost parts of the games. And then you throw in a kicker who missed 2 field goals in 2 weeks that potentially cost us games. I mean, it's a much bigger picture than one thing. Like, everybody wants to point to Ron Rivera's the issue. Everybody wants to point to Cam Newton's the issue. Everybody wants to point to this offensive line's the issue. No, this defense is the issue. No, it's a combination of all these damn things, and this is what you get. A 7-game losing streak and missing the playoffs. I mean, and now next year you're looking at trying to bring in young talent again to refresh some spots and hopefully hit well in the draft, maybe free agency, because you're not going to have a ton of money to spend there. But I just think it's, again, as I've said, I just think it's a culmination of a lot of things.
Yeah, and if Cam still had, I mean, he was passing the ball short, but he had great completion percentage. Yeah. If he goes out there and he throws 5 touchdowns and 25 interceptions, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
He didn't do that even with a hurt shoulder.
Yep.
At the beginning of the season, he was playing his best football. He was playing better than 2015.
And I still think they should have pulled him prior to the Browns game. I think going into the Browns game, it should have been Heineke. It would have been Heineke's job. And now, you know, if we're saying now, if we could choose, it'd be Kyle I told you, Allen. It'd have been Allen. Would have been my choice anyway. What am I, though? I'm no coach. But I think Heineke should have had to start there. And it gives, and even still, the Panthers were still in that game. Like, Cam helped lead that offense at times, but I still think Heineke gave you that option of the deep shot or Allen, whoever. Yeah. You can throw the ball deeper, and it opens up things a little bit better. But hindsight's 20/20, 50/50 in Cam's eyes, whatever. But it is what it is now, and all we can do is look forward to 2019. Yeah, this season ended disappointing after a 6-2 start, but it should tell us if Cam can get healthy, and we fill a couple holes next year, this could be a playoff team again with the young talent at spots, especially on this offense. You're talking about Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. Those 3 guys alone give me hope moving forward, especially if we have a healthy Cam Newton. Christian McCaffrey is shaping up to be a special player. With that first drive today, he actually eclipsed 1,500. He eclipsed 1,500 receiving yards in his first 2 seasons. Him, Herschel Walker, and Alvin Kamara are the only 3 players in NFL history to eclipse that mark. Christian McCaffrey is going to be special, ladies and gentlemen, and he's already special, but I think he is shaping up to be extra special, if that even makes sense. I mean, he's going to be fun to watch these next few years as a Panthers fan. Do we need to find a compliment? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I think at times, yes. I don't think Cap is that guy.
He is not. After today, I don't think Cap is that guy.
And I'm still not convinced C.J. Anderson was that guy.
I don't think C.J. Anderson was that guy either. I don't think either of them are. And that goes back to self-scouting. Cap's been on the team for a couple years.
And in fairness, they should have given C.J. Anderson more opportunities to be that guy. But again, I think the thing with C.J. Anderson that bothered me the most, it wasn't that they weren't rotating him, because if you're rotating him, Christian McCaffrey, again, dynamic-wise for the offense is not – it makes it easier on the defense. If he's in, you don't know if he's running the ball or he's receiving the ball. If C.J. Anderson's in and he's out, okay, it's either a run or the pass. The pass is likely not going to C.J. Anderson.
Yep.
But I think where they should have done more of is have them both on the field at the same time, because the few plays they did do it, they were chunk gains. So I think, C.J. didn't get ample opportunity, but typically there's a reason, and he bounced around a little bit before landing in the Rams. And for those saying he went off with the Rams, their offensive line is vastly better than the Carolina Panthers. And he had one good game. That's great, and I'm happy for him. I wish C.J. Anderson all the best. But let's just pump the brakes over one game.
The Panthers on social media went crazy last week over that. Like, look what we let go. Let's see what he does this week.
Yeah. DJ Moore today, 4 catches, 81 yards. This kid is looking, he's shaped up the second half of the season, looked really good going into the future. Great, catch over Marshawn Lattimore, gave him a good stare down on the sideline after that big catch. Curtis Samuel, 2 catches, 72 yards, and the touchdown. And he's been open multiple times on those type of throws we saw today this season, but Cam's arm just isn't there.
Yep.
If Cam's arm gets healthy, that's a deadly combo, because Curtis Samuel is one hell of a route runner. Again, Ian Thomas, 5 catches, 61 yards, a touchdown. This kid is shaping up to be as special as we'd hoped he'd be. A solid back-to-back weeks with a touchdown. Really looking forward to his development with Greg Olsen. We saw in 2011 Greg Olsen and Jeremy Shockey together with Cam. If Cam gets healthy for the 2019 season and you got Ian Thomas and Greg Olsen out there catching passes, maybe that's something you can look forward to. And that would fit kind of Norv Turner style with tight ends and everything. Maybe, if they keep him. Who knows? So, Jarius Wright, 2 catches, 20 yards. One of those was the 4th down from Allen. But, let's hit y'all's comments a little bit, because I know y'all probably asking about next season and all stuff. Mike Pridgett on Facebook Live, should we bring Reed back? Talking about safety Eric Reed. I would love to see him back. I think he fits this defense very well, physicality-wise. And I think a lot of the secondary's issues would be masked this year by pass rush to deep shots. If quarterbacks are sitting down there, receivers are going to get open deep. I think we can help, shore up this pass rush, the secondary is going to benefit off of that. Much like the 2013 secondary wasn't star-studded, but we had a great pass rush, great front 7 that got to the 60 sacks that season. That's impressive, and that helped the secondary a lot. Get back to that, and I think a guy like Eric Reed, who comes up to the line of scrimmage, can blitz the quarterback, can stop run plays, has played all over the place on defenses. I think he can be good. I mean, yes, he makes mistakes just like anybody else at times. But, yes, I think he should be back.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to get, there's been reports out talking about the money and he wants what he's worth, this and that. Eric Reed's not going to go out and sign a top safety. I don't see him going out and getting a top safety, contract money-wise. The Panthers have already reached out and started talking to him. They want him back, and he wants to kind of test free agent waters. We saw where that led this past offseason. It got him to Carolina. I just don't see him getting paid a lot of money. I mean, he should get paid more than what he got paid this year.
And I think it's like I said earlier before the game. I think it's the political side of things that are going to keep him at Carolina.
Yep.
And then he's going to have to say, do I want to make this much money or do I want to go home?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, obviously we got him off the couch. So that is something to look at. Who was it in Facebook Live? Austin Wright. If LaShawn McCoy is a free agent, then Carolina needs to get him.
No.
LaShawn McCoy is done. No.
Well, I ain't saying he's done. I think he's going to demand money, but that's not money we need to spend position on. He's not. We have a better LaShawn McCoy than Christian McCaffrey. If you're talking about getting somebody, I'm talking about like a more of a power runner. If you're talking about spelling CJ, if you're talking about doing that like Rivera has said, and that really lit fans up because he finally said, "Oh, we need to take more of the load off CMC next year." And it's like,
and that was on Twitter. I was like, "You waited till week 15."
Yeah, well,
Like,
and that's what
16?
everybody's
Like,
saying.
what?
Like, you had C.J. Anderson and you let him walk. Like, you didn't get anything for him. You just let him walk. And that's, we've both been on the train of CMC is done well as this dual back role, and I like him fine there. But if you're talking about spelling him, you can't just let C.J. Anderson walk. Like, do what you want to do, but stick to it. Christian McCaffrey is not the issue with what's gone down with this team. I think he's been fine. And if we have a quarterback with a healthy shoulder, I think he continues to do fine. Just because he's in for a snap doesn't mean he's getting the ball and busting his ass every play. We talked about this earlier. Percentage-wise, his touches when he's in the game are much lower than most of the other running backs that are playing less percentage of snaps than him. So it offsets.
Last week. Like the amount that they used him last week, and you look at the scoreboard, and honestly, somebody tell Ron that the Vikings are blowing their opponent out, and we have no chance. CMC doesn't need to be in there for 99% of the snaps and touching the ball every play.
Well, one thing for me was like today he played one series and was out. Why the hell even play him?
Yeah, and
like Rivera, these are the things like I'm talking about, and I guess I don't know. I really can't see a legitimate reason for it. And I try to look at like both sides, but I just don't understand why even put him in for that one series to chance.
And that's when I got here today. You're like, Funches is a scratch, and I went to go look at. I hadn't looked at. I was surprised that McCaffrey wasn't.
Yeah, and like one thing I did say, and I told you was, I think it's fair. I think it's only fair for Kyle Allen. I think it's only fair for him to get a look one series at least. So maybe this is why with starters at the positions on offense, you can't put him in there with like second and third string running backs and receivers and say, oh, well, he didn't play well today. Well, no shit. He was playing with second and third like receivers that wouldn't normally be on the field for the Panthers. Give him a shot with the starters one series, see what he can do, and if he moves the ball well with him, you know more of what you have versus playing like a preseason game in the fourth quarter and throwing him out there with no names and saying, okay, well, he did this, but it was with such and such against such and such. And he drove down and got a touchdown on the opening drive. So
yeah, and even when CMC was out, he continued to do it.
Yep.
So I think he has the skill. I think next year he should be the number 2.
Yeah. Definitely as of now, if they decide not to draft a quarterback.
Yeah.
Which is we'll dive more into the draft as we get closer to it, guys. I'm not diving and throwing out any crazy. This isn't mock draft season quite yet. I know it seems like it will be for the Panthers. I'm not jumping into that. Trust me. Just like last year, I will dive into the draft as it starts to come around and we see more of the names and all, and I've looked into them. I'm not going to start scapegoating stuff right now. Let's see. Jordan Moore, didn't he kick a 63-yard field goal to win a game for us this season? Talking about Graham Gano. Yeah, whoop-de-doo. He did. Yeah, he did, and it was fantastic. But if he misses that, we're waving it off because, it was a 63-yard field goal. It's unrealistic to think he's going to make that. But when you miss 35-yard field goals for a game winner or a tying game late in the game, yeah, I'm sorry.
And I talked to one of the guys in my fantasy league. That's what he gets paid for, the short ones. He doesn't get paid to go out there and hit a miracle. He gets paid to go out there and hit the extra point to hit a 35, 40-yard field goal. If he hits a 63, cool.
Yeah.
But that's not what he's getting paid for.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you need to make your extra points. Like, yeah, you do get paid to make the 63 yards. That's great, but it's not like if you miss it, we're not like going to say you suck, you need to be fired.
And that's what I'm saying. His paycheck doesn't come with that 63-yard field goal. If he has a chance to make it, he makes it good. But his bread and butter is
40 yards and
under.
Yeah. Make those, please.
Yeah.
Especially with the game on the line. That's been Gano's biggest issue with me is pressure kicks have not been great. Yes, he made the one great one with the New York Giants game, but that was it. Like, we can go back to Denver in 2016 when he missed that one. Cam drove him down the field late in the fourth quarter, had a chance for a game-winning field goal, missed it, and lost by 1 point.
I saw a commercial today for the first time, the Pepsi Ice the Kicker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long it's been on TV because it's the first time I saw it, and it's the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all opening Pepsis up to ice the kicker to get a miss. And how fitting is it that our kicker was the one that was awful all year?
Well, that's just how it, I see a lot of people talking about got the Saints running the NFC, and I think they're definitely. I think it's them and the Saints in the NFC.
Who's that?
Rams or the Saints. Rams or the Saints in the NFC for the Super Bowl. I think it's one of them two. I just like. I feel like you have to trust, and as bad as I hate to say it, I have a lot of respect for Drew Brees. If there's one player on the Saints team or coach, the one person I can respect is Drew Brees, and I think I trust him and a playoff experience more than I would Jared Goff. Despite Sean McVay, like the Rams have a good defense, and I still think they can do it. I still think they could potentially beat I wouldn't be sitting here saying I think it'd be shocked if they beat the Saints. I'm just saying the Saints have home field advantage also, which I think is very key.
I think the Saints have a better defense than the Rams. I mean, you can look at when the Rams played the Chiefs. That was
wise,
just
yes,
there was
front
no
wise.
defense.
Yeah, front seven wise, yes. But since then, a lot of these high prolific offensive style games that were supposed to be big have not been. And that's one of the reasons I'm saying, like, the Rams defense also hasn't been healthy all year. They're just now getting back some of their secondary guys. So it's going to be interesting in the playoffs. And they've already played in the Dome once this year. They lost, yes. But it was a close game. So who knows what's going to happen.
And I'll tell you, the Rams are a totally different team without Kupp.
Yeah.
Like, that was a big hit.
And I still feel the Saints were the best team last year in NFC. I still feel like they should have been in the Super Bowl. Again, as bad as I hate to say it as a Panthers fan. And I still feel like they could potentially be the best in the NFC this year. I mean, obviously they're number one seed, so they are the best.
Yeah.
But going to the Super Bowl, I think they definitely have, obviously they're at home, so they have a great track for it. I'm hoping against it. I don't care in which way it comes. But
well, at this point, let's just let Breeze win a Super Bowl and get out of our division.
You have to play the game. Well, I still don't think I seriously think if Drew Brees wins the Super Bowl, I think he comes back again. I just feel like he would have come back for one more year. Especially with the team they developed under him right now. I mean, why? It's not like all these players are old and get ready to retire with them, or they're on contract years. Like, no, you still have this team for at least one more year. Why not try it? Anyway, I'm done talking about the Saints. Yeah, Dayton Henry Jr. on Facebook Live. Gano blew the Seattle and Detroit games. My point exactly. He could have tied the Seattle game late. Who knows what happens then? Detroit, he definitely lost us and missed field goal late. 16, appreciate you predicting us to win if it comes to that point, Chris, even though you don't want it. Yeah, well, I don't. Oh, he's talking about Chris. He's talking to another guy on YouTube. But I'm sure he's thinking the same thing for us. And no, I don't want it. I don't want the damn Saints to win a Super Bowl. What if it's like Saints Patriots? Would be like the worst, just like the Falcons Patriots years ago.
I'll be ready for all the commercials.
Jesus. That would be 3 NFC South teams in a Super Bowl in the last 4 years. You realize that?
And, you know, the NFC South hasn't – there was years where we weren't good. But if you're putting 3 out of 4 years putting a team in the Super Bowl, saying something. And
look, Dayton Henry on Facebook Live has brought up a good point here, and I completely agree with this. And I didn't hit on it, but saying the Bears are a sleeper, and I completely agree. That defense is something fierce. And I think they have weapons on offense with Trubisky. Trubisky is the one that's going to be like your card because Khalil Mack is an absolute machine. That defense is great. But can Trubisky against like a Saints defensive line hold up and be able to make good decisions the whole game? It's going to be fun. And hell, who knows? Maybe Billy and I will get up here each week and talk about these playoff games a little bit and have some fun with that as the season winds down before the offseason, just to kind of keep things going with fans watching the game and everything. But, yes, the Bears are a sleeper, and personally, that would be who I'm pulling for in the playoffs. I damn sure ain't pulling for the Cowboys. If you had to pick one team to ride with in the NFC. Seattle's in there, too. They've been playing good ball lately. Of course, they did lose to the 49ers, so.
I'm riding with Seattle.
Ugh, you make me sick.
I can't pick the Saints.
You make me sick. Pick the damn Bears.
They can't do it.
Screw the Seahawks.
I think Trubisky is the reason they don't.
I think I don't know. I'd almost pick. I think the Bears would do it before the Seahawks did it, though.
Russell Wilson's playing some good football.
I guess we will see. Derek Thompson, blaming Gano is stupid. Why is it stupid? Not like just blaming Gano, but he missed. I'm not saying the season is on Gano. I'm saying 2 games could certainly be blamed on Gano. One for sure. The Lions game is definitely on Graham Gano. There's no other way around it. You get to a point, it's your job to fix it. When the team gets you there, do your job.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, Safir, who gets the ring this year? Ted Ginn with the Saints or Kelvin Benjamin
Shut up.
with the Chiefs?
Shut up.
If Kelvin Benjamin gets a Super Bowl ring,
No, that ain't. No.
they better make it out of donuts or something.
Yeah. He get a ring pop.
Yeah, I just
Kelvin Benjamin get a ring pop for a Super Bowl ring. Yeah, I would die. I would die laughing. No, and I feel like the Chiefs' issue will be the defense. It's not going to be Patrick Mahomes. And as far as the MVP race, Billy, who you got? It's Drew Brees or Patrick Mahomes, and it's tough.
Mahomes has more yards.
Yes, but it's not all about stats for me. But Mahomes is so good. Like, he is, and he's transcending talent in the NFL. But Brees has never won an MVP. And not that that should matter in this case, really, but he's the only quarterback with multiple 5,000-yard passing seasons. And this year, I feel like he is the most, and this game almost solidifies it, he is the most important part of the Saints offense. Patrick Mahomes is probably about the same, but he has a lot more weapons in Kansas City on that offense. You could argue that all Drew Brees has is Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. He has Mark Ingram as a running back, but you're talking about Kareem Hunt's gone out of Kansas City, but they have Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. They had Sammy Watkins. He's out injured now, which is why they picked up Kelvin Benjamin. But you could say a lot of the early season success was because of these weapons. And I just feel like, as bad as I hate to say it, again, I respect the hell out of Drew Brees. I just feel like he should probably get the nod there.
And we were talking about during the games, looking at today without Brees on the field, what the Saints do. I mean, he is important.
Yeah.
Could the Chiefs put another quarterback in and do the same thing Mahomes is doing? Probably not.
Yeah, no.
But Brees is pretty important to the Saints
clearly,
offense.
you can't. Teddy Bridgewater was a former starter and got to start today and didn't produce. He produced 14 points.
Yeah.
And scored the first ones in the fourth quarter when they first got on the board. Drew Brees is important to the Saints offense. And I mean, Mahomes is probably, you could say, equally important maybe, but I don't know. It's really a toss-up because they're both great. But I just have to say, I think Brees has earned an MVP. He probably should have won one in 2009, but it is what it is. And I can say that even with my bias towards the Panthers. I can give respect to great players, and Drew Brees is definitely one of the great quarterbacks of the NFL in history. So,
he's giving me,
and I'll be glad when his ass retires.
He's giving me a lot of fantasy championships.
Oh, shit. Tommy Hood on Facebook Live saying, win the Super Bowl and retire just like Peyton. And look, that's fine. If you could tell me today Drew Brees would retire if he won a Super Bowl, just damn it, give him another one and let it ride. And let us go ahead and rebuild. Six Ink saying thank you. That's why Brees should win it. Mahomes has way more weapons on offense than Brees, which destroys the meaning of most valuable player. Exactly, and it's valuable. It's not statistical player. It's valuable. Just like Cam in 2015 was the reason the Panthers did a lot of that stuff. Their defense was great, but he still had to capitalize on those moments, and he did it with guys named Ted Ginn, Philly Brown, and Devin Funchess as a rookie. Philly Brown, I don't even know where he's at right now. Devin Funchess is about to be gone. And Ted Ginn is on the Saints, but he's not a number one receiver anymore.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, it's all about valuable player.
And there was on the way here, there was a debate. They're debating, quarterbacks, the game has changed. So you look in the last 5 years, quarterbacks going to throw 4,000, 5,000 yards, the top ones. So you can't look at stats, but the way that people are going to vote still is look at stats, because there's people that want Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
He has 20 sacks.
Hey, dude, he's so good.
He has 20
Oh
sacks.
my God,
How can he not be MVP?
He's a
MVP?
record. Yeah,
but they're never going to pick a defensive player, and they're still going to vote on stats. And I think Brees comes out on top there.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the voters will go the same way. Safari on YouTube Live, Gano for LVP, least valuable player. Yes. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to him. And Boone Baker chiming in on Facebook Live saying he hates to say it too, but Brees should probably be in the GOAT convo. Absolutely. I think Drew Brees will probably, in my opinion anyway, is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in NFL history. You can talk about, a lot of people look at achievements as what should be talked about as far as GOAT with like Tom Brady. Yes, Tom Brady's definitely one of the best, if not the best, but Drew Brees has still done it time and time and again. And he's good.
And look at, years ago, he had a shoulder issue. Then look at him.
Yeah.
Cam,
he got traded.
He's still kind of
yeah,
young.
He got traded.
Come out of that shoulder injury.
Yep.
We could put.
That's what I'm saying. Like, get Cam Newton's shoulder right. If it takes, and we talked about this during the game today, but if it takes them sitting Cam Newton for 2019, sit him. If you can tell me I can get 3 healthy years out of Cam Newton, 2 or 3 healthy years out of Cam Newton before he's gone, if he sits one season in 2019, sit his ass. It's not a question for me. A lot of this was talked about in relation to Andrew Luck's injury and how long it took him to come back from the same. He re-injured it, yada, yada. And Cam has done the same. Let him, and the staff and organization has said as much, they're seriously going to look at evaluating how to go about it. Do what it takes. If it takes him resting a year, he's going to have, now granted, he's going to have 9 months before the season starts. That's the season, not training camp, not preseason. And you got to take into account timing with receivers, just overall being in football game shape. And if it takes sitting him a year, sit him. Try to, if and that's what you want to do, maybe look at some quarterbacks early and try to find his heir apparent. Or maybe you're trying to develop Kyle Allen again and see where he can go with this thing, and you suck it up and take a bad year. You get another decent draft pick, and then next year you're looking forward to more things. You're building up the defense. I don't know. We're going to see how this whole thing develops because right now it's all just hearsay. I'm just saying if I could get 2 or 3 years out of Cam Newton completely healthy throwing shoulder by sitting him 1 year, I would take it.
Boom Baker says, "What if sitting him cost him his job?" You're talking about getting a top 5 quarterback in the draft. That's what you're talking. You're talking about the number 1 quarterback in a draft to take his job.
Not potential. Now that could be if you draft a quarterback in the second round, and he comes in and plays lights out and leads the team to the playoffs and wins a game or something, and he proves that much. Then that's a great problem for Carolina. That's how I look at it. Like, yeah, potentially it's, normally it's going to be a top 10 quarterback pick. But, yes, if a quarterback comes in and proves himself as far as taking the team to the playoffs unexpectedly and is doing great, fine. I'm fine. Like, I want Cam Newton as my quarterback, but then next year you've got a great problem. You've got 2 great quarterbacks going at each other for a starting QB job, and you decide you also might have trade bait with one of them. I mean, that's – I'm not going to sit here and say I want Cam Newton as my franchise quarterback the rest of the way. Like, yes, I do. I love Cam Newton. I'm a big Cam fan. I want him to get healthy and come back and lead us to a Super Bowl. But if another guy comes along the way that's better, I want him. I mean, if you had a choice between Patrick Mahomes and Cam Newton right now, who are you taking?
Right now, Mahomes.
Well, I mean, like healthy, both healthy.
Oh, Cam Newton.
You think so?
I haven't watched. He has a
Cam's not in the same situation though. This is where things get hairy because Cam's not in the same situation with Andy Reid, weapons, and an offensive-minded coach. So that's not fair. I still think Cam can be one of the great quarterbacks in this league. I still think he is if he's healthy.
You take the shoulder out.
2015.
You take the shoulder out. He's sitting in the graphic on the TV today in MVP talk.
Yeah, he was already there at 6-2.
Yeah, so that's where I take the shoulder injury out and I take Cam.
But if it comes to that, you're in a good situation. If you have 2 QBs you're trying to decide over, Cam's, even if he sits, he's going to have to prove himself. Just like, Luck did, and Luck has come back and is looking great now. And I doubted that. When Luck came back and people were talking about him, some people were saying MVP, and I still think that was ridiculous. But he's back, he's healthy, he's looking good, he's throwing the ball deep, he's fine. I think you need to follow somewhat of that track if that's what it takes. I just think that's what you need to do. Tommy Hood, why are we getting rid of Allen? We're not getting rid of Allen. No, we didn't say that. And honestly, I think he's probably the guy you try to groom because I don't think you want to take a quarterback early and risk missing out on a top edge rusher or offensive lineman or another position of specific need. Because you at this point, I think Cam is still your franchise quarterback. Like that's not changing.
Just from what I saw of Allen, I think Allen's better than Derek Anderson.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and
I think it's just
we trusted him to start games. So I think right now they're number 2. If that's not a broken collarbone or whatever the injury was today, I think he's a better chance at winning games than Derek Anderson was.
Yeah, Chris Airwood on YouTube Live saying he thought that he thought that look was done too. And I did. I thought, when he missed that year and a half of football, I thought he was done. I thought his shoulder was just done. Jay doing Jay on Facebook Live saying for Cam to be great, or I'm sorry, if Cam sits out a year, we miss the playoffs again. I understand that. But do you want Cam, here's my thing here. You want Cam to play next year and potentially play 8 games like he did this year, half a season. And really, you could say he was injured before that. The shoulder's been bothering him for a while. But he plays 8 games, has a winning record, and then his shoulder just completely falls off again the second half, and we miss the playoffs, and then you're back in this rehab stage again. Is that what you want, or do you want him to just completely take a full year off, rehab it through this season, 2019 season, come back in that offseason, hit the draft good, help solidify this offensive line some more, maybe get another weapon on offense, this year focus on the defense, and then in 2020, his final year as a contract for the Panthers, which gives him more incentive to play well, get him healthy, and have a full squad to go at it and potentially win a Super Bowl. If I could tell you today the Panthers would make the playoffs next season with a healthy Cam Newton or have a potential Super Bowl caliber team in 2020, which one are you going to take? You're going to take 2020.
And that's
I'm not saying that's a guarantee. I'm just
back to him saying we don't make the playoffs, and that's where I'm saying if you rest Cam, that's coming. David Tepper's on board. And he's not firing Rivera after a bad season because we don't play Cam if we rest him for a year. So that's all those pieces have to come together. Everybody has to agree because you can't rest Cam and then hold missing the playoffs against Rivera when he's under fire this year to be back on the hot seat next year and be fired. So it would be 2 more years of Rivera if you choose to rest Cam to get a healthy Cam for 2020.
Yeah. And Jay doing Jay saying we don't know if he can get healthy again in this offseason. Sitting out a year is not a guarantee to be 100% healthy. No, it's not, and you're completely right. And that's a chance you would be taking. But I can guarantee you, if he's not healthy going into this season, the 2019 season, then he's not going to be healthy going into 2020. Yep. Him and Luck had the exact same injury, the exact same surgeries. One of them is doing successful right now after sitting out a year. One of them is not. And I'm saying one proves the other wrong. I'm not saying it's a guarantee. You're absolutely right, Jay. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's a much better chance. Your odds are better. And we could come be at training camp this time, and all the reports be saying Cam's shoulder is great. It's healthy. We could be. But is that true? Because I feel like it was pretty healthy coming into this season from the talk. So it's going to be something to follow along, and we'll see how it goes. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more going into it as this offseason progresses now that the season is over. And boy, did this season fly by, Billy. It always feels like football is just like a blink and it's gone, good or bad.
Yeah, it's
And for a while there, it felt really long.
These past couple weeks have felt long. It's been like, oh, Sunday's here again. I gotta watch another bad game. But it's been fun. We ended on a positive note with a win.
Yep.
We saw some good flashes from some backups. Looking back, and I was thinking about it this past week, of all the things that I said through the season, yes, I picked the games right because I picked us to lose a lot. But I'd never thought starting 6-2 that we would be 7-9.
Again, early on I thought we'd have beat New Orleans, and we still probably should have beat New Orleans at home and not beat them on the road. But, of course, Drew Brees didn't play today. But, how the tide turns, I guess. But anyway, guys, I think that's going to do it for us and put a wrap on this 2018 Carolina Panthers season. We want to thank you for tuning in week and week out, the regulars. We see y'all up here, and all the new people, if you've been tuning in lately, thank you again. It's fun. This is our second year doing it. We've been having a lot of success up here, so really appreciate it. Hope y'all continue to follow us along through the off season. We will be up here talking Panthers here and there. We will probably take we'll see what Billy and we might get up here and maybe do like a show about the playoffs and pick 'em games and stuff for something short and fun. But as far as Panther stuff, we probably will take a couple weeks off, rebuild and see where things are going as far as looking at the draft and stuff and trying to sort all that out, because that's going to be the big key. I'll probably have a couple of guests on that, are big draft scouts and that, like I did last year. So we'll see how all that goes. But thanks again. And if you haven't already, like and follow us on Facebook. YouTube at Panthersaurus. Subscribe if you're watching up there, if you haven't already. On Periscope and Twitter, we're at Panthersaurus. Follow me at TrippMorgan6. He's at B Harless Tweets. It should be right there on your screen. And until maybe potentially next week after next, we'll see you next time. Go Panthers. Keep pounding. For Panthersaurus, I'm Tripp Morgan.
Billy Harless.
Y'all keep pounding.